Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How's everyone doing today? We are here on our last odd night. Subhanallah. Ramadan is flying by. The last odd night. The 29th night of Ramadan is tonight. Um, so, try to make the most of it. It happens to be the night of Jum'ah as well. So, lots of good deeds, inshallah, available to you this night. Um, One of the things you could start off with is actually Surah Al-Kahf. You can actually do it tomorrow during the day, or you can even start tonight if you'd like. Um, but try to make the best of this last night, inshallah, the last odd night of Ramadan, the 29th night. And being it's the 29th night, we are also on the 29th hadith of our 30-day, 30 hadith challenge. So let's bring it up here right now, inshallah. Our Prophet ﷺ mentioned, and this happens to be a saying in a longer hadith that I took out. Um, so this is about half the actual length of the hadith. And the Prophet ﷺ here is saying, دع ما يريبك إلى ما لا يريبك. Leave that which makes you doubt for what does not make you doubt. Or you can say, leave what makes you doubt for what does not make you doubt. Rawahu Tirmidhi. This is something really important in life in general. Um, when it comes to halal and haram, they're pretty clear as to what is and what isn't. But there might be some things sometimes you come into in life, some certain situations where you have doubts, right? Maybe it's not a clear-cut answer, and you're not really sure about the situation. It's a unique situation. Um, it's always better to side with caution in those cases. It's always better to lean on the side of caution in those cases. Um, I do want to say there are certain situations though where people side too much on caution and it's against the sunnah. And I'll give you an example of that. For example, this happens pretty frequently amongst people. They forget if they have wudu or not for salah. So let's say you're lining up for Aisha and you're like, oh no, wait, do I have wudu? And they doubt it and then they go and make wudu, which is fine. But our Prophet ﷺ actually told us in those situations, you go back to what you remember for sure last. So meaning the last thing you could remember that happened for sure, you go off of that. So in between, let's say you're about to pray Isha. The last thing you could remember is that you made wudu at some time, maybe before Maghrib. But you cannot remember that you broke your wudu. But you have doubts. Oh, did I break it or not? Was something happened? It's been an hour or two. If you cannot remember clearly any incident that broke your wudu, then you go off of what you remember for sure. And that is that you made wudu and you go ahead and pray the Isha. So you must wipe away shak, you must wipe away doubts with yaqeen, with certainty, with something that you know happened for sure. So in those situations, no need to go make wudu in that case because you go by what you remember last. But in other cases in life, there may be situations that you run into, and these are all unique situations. Everyone may run into something unique that they might find doubtful. Should I do this or not? In those cases, it is better to actually leave those things where you might feel like this might be something haram. And I don't want to get in trouble in the court of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so you leave it for the sake of Allah. But keep in mind, the halal and the haram are clear, but there are some issues in between that sometimes may not be so clear. Our Prophet ﷺ mentioned this in a very lengthy hadith which I'll share with you right now as well in another hadith, kind of emphasizing and elaborating on this point. He mentioned, alayhi salatu wasalam, al-halalu bayyin wal-haramu bayyin. Verily the lawful is clear and the unlawful is clear. وبينهما مشتبهات وبينهما مشبهات لا يعلمها كثير من الناس. And in between them are doubtful matters that most people do not know about from mankind. فمن اتقى المشبهات استبرأ لدينه وعرضه. So whoever fears Allah, has the taqwa of Allah in regards to these doubtful matters, verily this person has, you know, saved himself. He clears himself in regards to his deen and his honor. He's basically preserved his deen and his honor if he stays away from these doubtful matters. وَمَنْ وَقَعَ فِي الشُّبُهَاتِ كَرَاعٍ يَرْعَى حَوْلَ الْحِمَى يُوشِكُ أَنْ يُوَاقِعَ. And whoever falls into these doubtful matters, you end up doing them, will fall into the unlawful as the shepherd who pastures near a sanctuary, all but grazing therein. And then our Prophet ﷺ goes on, he says, أَلَا وَإِنَّ لِكُلِّ مَلِكٍ حِمَى. And verily every king has a sanctuary, a sanctuary. أَلَا إِنَّ حِمَى اللَّهِ فِي أَرْضِهِ مَحَارِمُهُ. And verily the sanctuary of Allah is his prohibitions. أَلَا وَإِنَّ فِي الْجَسَدِ مُضْغَةً إذا صلحت صلح الجسد كله وإذا فسدت فسد الجسد كله ألا وهي القلب. And then he goes on to say that verily in the body is a piece of flesh. If it is sound, then the entire body is sound. And if it is corrupt, the entire body is corrupt. And verily that piece of flesh is the heart. So Prophet ﷺ gives some different examples here of a shepherd, you know, who pastures near a sanctuary, all but grazing there. And then he talks about the example of a king, you know, how every king has his sanctuary, and Allah's sanctuary are his prohibitions, meaning do not cross, you know, those marks. Do not cross those limits. These are the boundaries of Allah on earth. Do not cross them. And then he's relating all of this to a pure heart. Meaning if someone's heart is pure and it is sound, then they tend to stay away from these doubtful matters that put them in trouble. So, you know, this is something very, very delicate, and it can, you know, relate to all of us in different ways. You know, what I may be tried with will not be the same as you, and the same for everyone else here listening. You all perhaps will fall into some situation in life where, you know what is halal, you know what is haram, but this is not quite clear, right? It's something, you know, maybe it's okay, maybe it's not. You know, it's kind of in the gray area. So for this, you know, our Prophet ﷺ mentions that leave that which makes you doubtful to what does not make you doubtful. You know something is better and it is for sure okay to do, then go ahead and do that, you know. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you know, preserve us and keep us away from these things. These happen especially with a lot of new contemporary issues where people try to find fatwas to do things that, you know, have never really been done in the past, or they'll try to find an excuse to do them, you know, based on, you know, various reasons. I don't want to get into specific examples because things vary from person to person, but this is more of something on a personal level that you have to, inshallah, apply when it is applicable, or when the time is right to do it. Regarding the hadith number 29, I'll mention the whole hadith. Remember, I said this is part of the longer hadith. The Prophet ﷺ mentioned, دع ما يريبك إلى ما لا يريبك فإن الصدق طمأنينة وإن الكذب ريبة وإن الكذب ريبة. So verily, truth brings peace of mind, and falsehood sows doubt. So those things that you know are legit, right, and that are truthful, that you know you can confirm, this gives you a peace of mind. But those matters that are not correct, that you know are wrong, these types of things, they sow doubt. They make you feel bad about doing certain things. And that's very common. You could do something and you feel really bad about it. You're like, this wasn't right. Then perhaps you should maybe stop doing it. Um, if you did something good, likely you should feel good about it. I wouldn't say likely, because sometimes people do bad things and they feel good about it. I don't know why. They'll smoke a little drink and say, "Oh, I feel great." Smoke weed and they'll say, "I feel great." No, that is the shaitan actually um, beautifying your deeds to you, beautifying deeds that are known to be impermissible. He is making them beautified, and he's making them legit in your eyes. He's making you legitimize things that should not be allowed. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions this in the Quran. وَزَيَّنَ لَهُمُ الشَّيْطَانُ أَعْمَالَهُم. And shaitan beautifies their deeds. فَصَدَّهُمْ عَنِ السَّبِيلِ. And he takes them away from the path of Islam. فَهُمْ لَا مُهْتَدُونَ. And then they become of those who are not guided. So we cannot, inshallah, fall into those traps of shaitan. The haram is clear. If you feel good about doing something haram, then you're obviously in error here. There should not be any doubt when you're doing something wrong. Even if you feel good about it, 100% it is wrong. That does not make it right to do. Sometimes people enjoy doing things that are haram. That's fine, but that does not justify that it is okay to do. You still need to recognize, if you do something wrong, that it was wrong. Okay, even if you happen to enjoy yourself doing that haram act, you need to come to a point where you realize, you know what, even though I personally am inclined to do that deed, I know for 100% fact this is something wrong, and I need to repent to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I need to ask for forgiveness. Allah, give me the strength to stay away from this. This is a test for me. And everyone has this test in life. There are certain things that you are really inclined towards, and it may not be right. Just because you have a natural tendency towards them doesn't make it right. And you can see this in society today, where people justify that. They say, I was created this way, to like certain things or certain individuals and so forth. But that doesn't make it right, just because you have that natural inclination towards it. This could be a test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He tests all of us in different ways. No two people, will have the same exact test in life. You may have similar trials that you go through, but everyone will have a unique situation, a unique trial. And you have to overcome that, inshallah. You have to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for strength, and you cannot let shaitan deceive you that just because you are naturally inclined towards it, it makes it okay. No, that is not okay. I could be naturally inclined towards alcohol or drugs. Does that make it okay? No. Someone could be inclined towards violence, right? Does that make it okay for him to abuse people? I really like doing it. I get a thrill when I hit somebody, or even, na'udhu billah, kill somebody. Does that make it right? No, absolutely not. We cannot take thrill and joy in things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has prohibited. So, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala save us from that deception and not be allowed to be deceived by the deceiver, al-ghurur, al-shaitan. who is ash-shaytan. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep us all on the straight path. Um, Tomorrow we're coming down to hadith number 30. So, get ready. This will be the second to last review we're going to do right now. So let's go now, inshallah, through all 28 hadith prior to this and get ready for this Saturday. As you know, this Saturday we have our competition 11 to 1, and we've sent out instructions for that. I do want to mention just a few things. So, when you're saying the hadith, if you make a mistake, the judge will correct you. If you need time, you can just let them know, give me a second to think about it, and you can say what you need to. But if you say something incorrectly, they will correct you, okay? But if you need time to think about it, you have that. But remember, overall, you have about 10 minutes to go through all 30 hadith, inshallah. And if you just forget something and you want to move on to the next hadith, just let them know what is it and then move on, inshallah. Okay? All right. So here is hadith number 1. Ad-Dinu Nasiha, the religion is sincerity, recorded by Muslim. Hadith number 2. Ad-Du'a'u Mukhul Ibadah, supplication is the essence of worship. At-Tirmidhi. Hadith number 3. Al-Mar'u Ma'a Man Habba, a person will be with whom he loves. Bukhari, Muslim. Hadith number 4. Hubbuka shay'a yu'mi wa yusim, your love of something might render you blind and deaf. Abu Dawood. Hadith number 5. Al-anatu min Allahi wal-ajalatu min ash-shaytan, calmness is from Allah and haste is from shaitan. At-Tirmidhi. Hadith number 6. Al-haya'u la ya'ti illa bi khayr, modesty does not bring anything but goodness. Bukhari. Hadith number 7. At-tuhuru shatrul iman, purity is half of faith. Muslim. Hadith number 8. Al-khamru jumma'ul ithm, alcohol constitutes many sins. Razin. Hadith number 9. Inna Allaha jamilun yuhibbul jamal, Allah is beautiful, he loves beauty. Muslim. Hadith number 10. La darara wa la dirar, do not cause harm or return harm. Ibn Majah. Hadith number 11. Man samata naja, whoever is silent has been saved. At-Tirmidhi. Hadith number 12. La taghdab, do not be angry. Recorded by Bukhari. Hadith number 13. Anzilun nasa manazilahum, treat people according to their status. Abu Dawood. Hadith number 14. Man lam yashkurin nas lam yashkurillah, who does not thank people, who does not thank Allah. At-Tirmidhi. Hadith number 15. Inna dhulma dhulumatun yawm al-qiyamah, verily oppression will be darkness on the day of judgment. Bukhari. Hadith number 16. Yassiru wa la tu'assiru wa sakkiru wa la tunaffiru, make things easy for people, do not make them difficult, and make them calm and do not repulse them. Bukhari. Hadith number 17. Lu'ina abadu dinar wa lu'ina abadu dirham, a curse is the slave of the dinar and the slave of the dirham. At-Tirmidhi. Hadith number 18. Man ghashana falaysa minna, whoever deceives us is not of us. Muslim. Hadith number 19. Inna min al-bayani la sihra, verily in speech there is magic. Bukhari. Hadith number 20. Inna min al-shi'ri hikmah, verily in poetry there is wisdom. Bukhari. Hadith number 21. Al-majalisu bil-amana, gatherings are to be kept confidential. Abu Dawood. Hadith number 22. Sayyidul qawmi fi safari khadimuhum, on a journey the leader of the group is their servant. Ibn Majah. Hadith number 23. Ad-dunya sijnul mu'mini wa jannatul kafir, the world is a prison for the believer and a paradise for the unbeliever. Muslim. Hadith number 24. Qul amantu billahi fastaqim, say I have faith in Allah and then remain steadfast. Muslim. Hadith number 25. Laysa minna man lam yataghanna bil Qur'an, he is not one of us who does not recite the Qur'an in a pleasant voice. Abu Dawood. Hadith number 26. Ballighu anni walau ayah, convey from me even if it is a single verse. Bukhari. Hadith number 27. Yadullahi ma'al jama'ah, the hand of Allah is with the united community. At-Tirmidhi. Hadith number 28. La yadkhulul jannata qattat, the slanderer will not enter paradise. Bukhari and Muslim. Hadith number 29 from today. Da' ma yuribuk ila ma la yuribuk, leave what makes you doubt for what does not make you doubt. At-Tirmidhi. I also want to mention regarding this hadith, sometimes people doubt things. I mentioned the example of salah, but there are times where they also doubt things from other Muslims, and that you should not do. That is not what is meant here. So, for example, a famous example, people go into uh, other people's houses, right? They'll get invited for dinner or lunch or breakfast, whatever the case is. And you know the person. It's not like it's someone you just met. You know them and you're going over to their house, and then you start doubting if their food is halal or not, and then you don't eat it. This is a wrong type of doubt. First of all, if you felt that way, you should have never entered their house. Number one. Okay. Number two, if you follow the sunnah, the Prophet ﷺ actually mentions not to question your brother in regards to that, right? If you go over to somebody's house, someone that you trust, that you know is a practicing Muslim, it is against good etiquette and manners from the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ to ask where they got their meat from. That is against the etiquettes of the sunnah. You don't do that. That is highly disrespectful, insulting to the guest. And it can lead to a fight. They can get offended or they can get just hurt in general. If you have a doubt, then don't go. Just mention, hey man, thanks for the invite, but I won't be able to make it, so that you don't fall into that trap, right? Or that situation, I should say, where you become awkward. Um, but if you happen to go and you trust the person, you don't doubt these things. If you know for sure that they eat, meat from a certain place, and you disagree with their opinion, then and that's another story. In that case, you can just eat something else. You can go, but then just avoid the meat. And you both should have a mutual understanding. That's if you both have talked about the subject. That's different. But if you haven't, and you just one day, mashallah, want to be Mr. Taqwa and decide, oh, where is this meat from? Did you get it from the halal store? Or did you buy it from Ralph's or Vaughn's? That is not the place to do that. Okay, that you don't go to someone's house and then start that conversation. True story. I had a friend who invited another friend for dinner, and he comes over to dinner, and guess what? He brings his girlfriend to the dinner. Okay, out of all things, you know, first of all, you bring someone who you should not have been publicizing that you were with. Anyway, he brings his girlfriend, and then he has the audacity to ask the guest, "Hey, where is your meat from? Is your meat halal?" He said, "Brother, it is more halal than the piece of meat you just brought in my house." you know, some people they just have their priorities messed up. They'll do something haram and then they want to act like Mr. Taqwa on the side. So don't do foolish things like that. Um, and remember, these are from the etiquettes of the Sunnah that we abstain from doing silly things like this. I have been to weddings, believe it or not, where people know the person getting married, and they'll question where the food is from. And once they found out, they started throwing it away in the trash in front of the rest of the crowd. How disrespectful is that? I mean, why did you even attend? Uh, if you knew that was the case, um, or why did you even eat the food? I mean, very, very sad. Don't fall into these traps. Okay, don't or these mistakes, I should say, not traps. Don't fall into these mistakes. They become very hurtful to people, and you end up, causing more division and hatred amongst each other than actual goodness and good relations. This is something to do outside of dinner and lunch when you want to have this conversation, so that you both have an understanding. But don't go somewhere and then put someone a host in a bad situation like this. Um, so I just thought I'd throw that in because you know people do that sometimes. I remember I've maybe mentioned the story to you when I was in Hajj in 2010. We were in Arafat on the day of Arafah. We are there at the most sacred place during that time, the most sacred day and time. And it was time for lunch, so they were giving us, some a meal, and they brought like a whole goat or lamb, on a plate of rice. And the brother asked, who's sitting with me, to the one who brings this food, keep in mind he is in ihram, in Hajj, okay, on the day of Arafah in Arafat, and he asked, "Where is this meat from?" and he asked the one who brings us food, where is this meat from? And I'm like, and I'm sitting there, and I'm trying to bite my tongue, but I'm like, brother, you're here in Hajj. Why are you even asking this question? And he got so mad. I won't say what he said, but he got so mad. He he started arguing with me, and then he left. So I was left with the goat. It was just me and the goat. The head of the goat was looking at me like, you're gonna have a lot to eat, brother. Anyway, it was a sad case, and I felt really bad about it. I mean, all I told him was, why are you asking? But he didn't like that, um, and he ended up leaving. So, um, anyway, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us to the best of ways, those that are pleasing to Him, and follow the ways of the righteous in the past. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. So with that, we'll close for tonight, and I believe it's time to learn a new supplication. We learned one for the last 2 nights, so tonight would be a new one, inshallah. So tonight's supplication, inshallah, let's think of another one which is from the Sunnah that you hear often in the witr prayer in Ramadan. I want to give you something that you might come across, and you'll appreciate learning about, inshallah. Hope something comes to my mind soon. Khair. Let's just do one from the Quran that we hear often. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Baqarah, this is a beautiful dua. It is towards the end of Surah Al-Baqarah. رَبَّنَا لَا تُؤَاخِذْنَا إِن نَسِينَا أَوْ أَخْطَأْنَا. O our Lord, do not hold us accountable if we forget or make a mistake. What a beautiful dua. رَبَّنَا وَلَا تَحْمِلْ عَلَيْنَا إِصْرًا كَمَا حَمَلْتَهُ عَلَى الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِنَا. O our Lord, do not place us or place on us a burden that we cannot bear. ربنا ولا تحمل علينا إصرا كما حملته على الذين من قبلنا. First we say, O Lord, do not place a burden on us that you have placed on people in the past. And then ربنا لا تحملنا ما لا طاقة لنا به. And do not place on us a burden that we cannot bear, that we would not be able to stand, or where we would fail. واعف عنا واغفر لنا. And pardon us and forgive us, warhamna, and have mercy on us. Anta maulana, you are our protector, our mawla. Fansurna ala al-qawm al-kafirin, and help us against those who reject faith. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. Beautiful dua in the last verse of Surah Al-Baqarah. We'll send that to you. Hopefully many of you have memorized that. This is a beautiful dua to say even outside of salah. I mean, of course, you're going to recite it when you're reciting Surah Al-Baqarah, but just amongst your supplications. This is a supplication taught to us by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We're asking Allah not to give us a burden of those in the past. People in the past went through a lot of hardships. So we ask Allah, don't give us those same types of hardships, so we don't want to fail. And don't give us some hardship that we will not be able to bear. And then forgive us, pardon us, have mercy on us, and give us strength, give us support over those who reject faith. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. So with that, we'll close for tonight. We'll see you tomorrow night. And tomorrow, remember, it'll be a longer session. We'll be in the masjid. So we'll do hadith number 30 at 9 p.m. Then we'll give you a break so that you can pray Isha and Sunnah, whatever you need to. And then at 10 o'clock, inshallah, we will come back on the live stream for the Khatmul Quran dua, inshallah, 10 o'clock tomorrow. But we will start the program, of course, at 9 p.m. with our typical session, and then give you a break, and then resume right after that for the Khatmul Quran dua, inshallah. Hope to see you all there. Jazakumullah khairan. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.